What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Henry Cedillo, you are first today. James Brown, what up? Spook Round, what up? You're still number one always. Um, Dre Stack Dollars says, shout out to all the regulars and newcomers. Word. And we got to do our public service announcement. If you ain't a jive turkey, and I hope that you are not, we had a couple on the show last week, but we got rid of them. Then please buy the Epic True Story. My brother's name is Kenny. The link is in the description below. And assault that like button, please, because it helps the algorithm. And big up to the Rewind crew, who's going to check this out later on. Supreme Divine, what up? Gregory Netta says, yo, Kenny, do you remember your first comic book you ever read? Mine was Doctor Strange, and I became a fan. No, I do not. Um, I know the year was 1974, uh, but I don't know what I read. But whatever it was, I was hooked, and I love Doctor Strange. Patrick Wise says, what up, KP, the loyal Friday followers and newcomers? Yes, Northeast Bronx, the Valley, Hayfen Park, home of Wolf Jones. I didn't know he was from the Bronx. I thought he was a Harlem dude. Never met him, but he's part of the legendary Bad Boy story. Rasul Hassan says, what up, Kenny? I got the book. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Question, if you could add 5 of your favorite DJ skills to yourself, what would it be? I would say improve. I wouldn't say, I don't know if I would add. I would improve my right hand a little bit more. I think I scratch a little better with my, I scratch better. I know I do. I scratch better with my left than my right. I would get my right a little bit improved. Um, some of the turntable tricks that I see, I'm not really into turntablism. I like to watch it, but it's not really my thing. I don't really DJ to like put the spotlight on myself. I like to DJ to rock the crowd. Um, I don't know if there's 5 things I would add. I would just like to be a little quicker and scratch better with my right. I would like to be able to rhyme and scratch at the same time like Kid Capri, even though I don't think I would rap. But I like how he talks and scratches at the same time. That would probably be it. JT, what up? Dan Marasuti, what up from Scarborough, Canada? Um, Floetry One, what up? It's Happy Friday, boy. Big up to Flavor Flav, whom I've never met. I'm super cool with Chuck D. Um, I mentioned on Tuesday, I actually reached out to Chuck on his birthday, and he responded back to me. So big shout out to him. I'm a huge fan of Public Enemy. I've met Chuck, and I'm pretty cool with Terminator X, rock and roll. That's it. I never met Griff or the S1Ws, and I don't know Flavor Flav. Shout out Drew that's down with them. Drew is my man. He did some sound. He's a sound man for them. He did some sound for BDP too from time to time. Live with Deacon Strange. Yo, what's the deal? I just saw Deacon Strange yesterday, I believe. Terrell McMillan, my man. What's good, brother? It's Friday. Yes, it is. Thank you guys so much, whoever's on the check-in. It's Friday. I guess we've reached the dog days of summer. I don't know why they call it that because I love summertime, but Um, I definitely appreciate you guys checking in. MK Ultra, what's up? Benny Doyle, half of the brothers in the building says, "Hey Kenny, what's up? I'm definitely here. I'm not just in front of the keyboard. I heard the PM Dawn quote was supposed to be off the record. Any truth to that? PM Dawn quote. Oh, what PM Dawn said about KRS and NWA and stuff was supposed to be off the record. I don't know if that's true, but probably a reporter, you could probably say something off the record, then they'd be like, this sounds juicy. Let me throw it in there anyway. I could hear that if that's what you're talking about. Um, let's see, Chef Daddy, what up? Dwight, what's up? MMA Crossfire, what up? Um, Sydney Rhodes, what up? Green Lion Entertainment. Mm. Floaty One says, no trolls. We keep it tight around here. Word. I mean, trolls are inevitable, sadly. I put trolls up there among the worst human beings in the world. Uh, and trolls are just that, little monsters that hide in a basement that come and like to cause conflict in places. They thrive off conflict. They thrive off arguments. They thrive off of seeing people going back and forth of something they created. They like to sit back and watch. And they're annoying. And they say you shouldn't even respond to trolls, which I try not to. I see comments on here from time to time, but once in a while I'll comment. But yes, try to keep the trolls to a minimum. And it's different from having an opinion. People are entitled to their opinions, but a troll hits a little differently. Um, Live with Deacon Strange says, yo, Kenny P, 8 o'clock was way too early to end that Vinyl Nights joint. I needed to hear more. I bounced out of work to come check it. Yeah, it goes from 5 to 8. What he's talking about is there's a party that I do from time to time, an all vinyl party. I play my 45s in Brooklyn. We do it in Manhattan too, called Vinyl Nights. Shout out to Rebecca Lynn. Shout out to DJ Misbehavior. Shout out to Operator M's. Um, and I was the guest DJ yesterday, Thursday. We was rocking outside in Brooklyn, playing a lot of classic R&B joints, some hip hop. It was a nice crowd. It was fun. And it ended at 8. And Live with Deacon Strange was in the building. Thank you so much for coming through. Um, let's see. Dre Stack Dollars, did I salute you? G Doyle is in the building. The other half of we got both Doyle brothers in here today. D Nizzy, who are your top 5 DJs of all time? Well, it's really 5 plus 1. I'm real thirsty today, y'all. Different DJs for different reasons. For the best I've seen for rocking the party is my brother, Kid Capri, who was on this show. I hope everybody saw the Kid Capri interview. He's my favorite for rocking a party. My favorite as far as turntablism and doing all the tricks is DJ Scratch. I've been watching this guy for over 30 years, 35, over 35 years. He is an absolute master at that, doing the turntablism. That's 2. Best DJ on a record, my favorite on a record, cutting and scratching, is DJ Premier. Um, that's 3. I'm gonna go Jam Master Jay, because he is just the biggest DJ we had. When Run DMC dropped, they are our Beatles. I believe Jam Master Jay is probably the first DJ, real DJ that the world had really seen um, on a grand scale. So as far as DJ in a group, I'm going Jam Master Jay. That's four. My fifth, and there's bunches that I like, but my fifth, I'm gonna go with Grandmaster Flash. Really, I have seven because I'm gonna go with Grandmaster Flash as the pioneer. He is the reason why DJing is DJing as we know it. He is the reason why hip hop is hip hop as we know it. Um, that's my five. Kid Capri, Scratch, Jam Master Jay, Flash, Premiere. But then I have for the radio, my greatest ever on the radio, DJ Red Alert, six. That's my six. And then for the overall blend, I can't have a list without Jazzy Jeff. He's the overall, he's the DJ's DJ. He's just for the blend. There can't be a list without Jazzy Jeff. So that's really seven. I cheated. I cheated on the top five. But there's a bunch of DJs that I really like to check out. But those are like, the top for a particular reason. Um, Engage VR YouTube channel. Salute. Um, oh no. Vincent Ross says, peace, DJ Kenny Parker. Did you call Kool Moe Dee to wish him a happy birthday? No. Thank you so much for reminding me. Oh shoot. I will definitely do that. Because he called me on my birthday. What are your favorite Moe Dee cuts? Feel the heartbeat. Feel the heartbeat. With the treacherous three, we got a new heartbeat. That record used to rock so hard in New York. Me and my brother used to go crazy for that when we were youths. Um, the Busy Bee battle, mind blowing. Record that used to play a lot on Red Alert, used to play a lot, and used to play a lot in Union Square. Do you know what time it is? Tell me, do you know? Put your Gucci watch on and synchronize the time and let's rock. That used to hit hard. I'm missing something. My top three, because he had big, gigantic hits like Wild Wild West and um, How You Like Me Now. But I'm trying to think of my favorites. Those first three will probably be my favorites. Feel the Heartbeat, A Busy Bee Battle. Do you know what time it is? Will be my three. Wow. El Tico Loco says trolls are like human gnats. Yeah, they're like human mosquitoes. They're a little bit more because they cause gnats. Gnats are like, mosquitoes like to come around and bite. They cause they inflict. Yeah, but they're like that. They're like annoying little because they're really small, but they make themselves bigger by injecting themselves into stuff. The worst. Um, Yiker77, I don't recognize that name. Big up. Says, bless up, those beats are cray. Thank you so much for listening to the beats for my beat series. I'll be posting one on Sunday morning. I think every Sunday I'm going to post a beat. I got a couple that I want to post, but I'm going to put one up on Sunday. Let's see. Dre Stack Dollar says, KP, I think Spook Realm deserves a blue wrench. What is a blue wrench? I don't know what that is, but if it's something good and meaning consistent, I'll say absolutely. Spook Realm is first. Um, Dedicated family member here. Chris Morale, that is it. Haven't seen this name in a while. Where you been? Says Dr. Kenny Parker. Oh, this is crazy. Racist trolls are the worst, aka Caitlin Clark fans. Wow. Well, racist trolls are the worst. And I mentioned this that about Twitter X. I go on there. I don't usually post. I rarely post on there, and I'm really gonna probably end my account there and just get off of it because there's good information on there, but the racism has reached a point. It's worse than it's ever been. It's like an open season for every racist, homophobic, sexist, evil person to just come on there and just spew garbage. And it's I think it's the worst on Twitter. And now Caitlin Clark fans, I'm a person who follows the WNBA, been following WNBA since the beginning. Um, it's a shame because Caitlin Clark herself seems to be a very well-grounded young lady who has a lot on her shoulders right now, probably being the most popular female athlete out right now. And she's like the Tiger Woods or the Michael Jordan of the WNBA right now. And she's just getting started. Now, the narrative around Caitlin Clark, which I think was also what made her so popular, is that there's this poor white girl from Iowa, and all of these jealous black girls and gay girls are just trying to hurt her. And that's the narrative that's going around, which causes a lot of the racism that you see, which is not coming from her, but coming from her fans and the narrative. And anybody who even tries to D her up hard or do anything just gets so much racism said towards them. I could see you criticizing athletes for the way they play, you know, this and that. Even you don't like their mannerisms. There's all kind of reasons why people go to athletes, but the racist part, I don't like it at all. Um, and they are the worst. You're right. Racist trolls are the absolute worst. MMA Crossfire says if you have trolls, it usually means you are doing something good to attract their attention. Yes. Um, but the problem with some of my trolls is that they really come on here to troll KRS, but they can't really have access to him at the moment. So they come on here trying to troll me to troll him. So it's not even something that I particularly did well. It's that they don't like him, so they come on here to try to troll me, which is whack. If I said something or did something and you want to comment on it, I'm absolutely all for it. I don't. If I agree, I agree. If I don't, I don't. But at least it's something I did. But you come on here with I've seen some ridiculous comments. And when I do beef videos, I say this all the time. When I do videos about beefs, I get 10 times the viewership, at least 10 times the viewership that I would get on a normal video that I do. And it attracts all kind of weirdos with all kind of comments. But like you said, if you put yourself out there and you're trying to do something, even if it's positive, you're gonna have trolls. It's unfortunate, but that's the game. And you got to be thick-skinned, which I'm not really not, but I'm trying to learn to be better. Um, Spook Realm says Blue Wrench here, LOL. Let's see. Jason Wall, what up? CMC's techniques in class. Scratch is the best. Scratch is amazing. Engaged VR says Kid Capri interview super dope and so great to hang out with him in person as well. Kid Capri is a great dude, man. Dan Marasuti says Scratch isn't really a turntablist. Okay, I don't know what the definition is, but for me, my definition, Scratch is that guy. I don't know what the definition is. Philly She says Scratch and Jeff are unbelievable in the scratch and turntablism. Yes, and they have been since the 80s. You ever listen to on I think it was the second Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince album, Live at Union Square, when Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince came to the roughest place to perform, Union Square Club in New York City. That's the time when New York wasn't trying to hear nobody that wasn't from New York. And these Philly boys came up in there, and Jazzy Jeff got on them turntables and had the whole place screaming. He destroyed Union Square. Um, Shout out to Jazzy Jeff. I met him like once or twice. Markeith says no Davy DMX. No. Like I said, there's quite a few people that I like. It's just that you asked me who's my favorite. My favorite. Jeremiah Rasuti says the DJ GOAT is Mix Master Mike. Patrick Wise says, KP, how old were you when you bought your first record and what was it? Mine was Gwen McCrae's Rocking Chair and I was 12. Dollar for the 45. Well, I got two stories about that. First, before I answer the first one, rest in peace to Gwen McCrae. Rocking Chair was my favorite record when when it came out. I was a little younger than you, Patrick Y, but I loved Rocking Chair. And years later, probably in a few, maybe 15 years ago, whatever, Gwen McCrae was on Facebook, and I hit her up, and I said, "How you doing? I just wanted to say that Rockin' Chair was my favorite song when I was a kid," and she actually responded back and said, "Thank you so much, and shout out to your mother for raising you right, for having you listening to Rockin' Chair." When you was a kid. She said something like that. And it was just so wonderful that she hit me back. Rest in peace, Gwen McCrae. Now, the first record that I bought, you mean with my own money? I didn't have any money at all to buy records until I was 18 years old. So the first record I bought with my own money was the Fat 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 Boys album, because of the song Can You Feel It? That was my record. I believe that was 85. That album was the first album that I bought with my own money. Everything else was my mother's. We had to beg my mother to buy us something, and she'll pick up a 45. My mother used to buy a lot of 45s back in the day, and she would pick up a 45 for us. But for me, Fat Boys, I was very late. Dan Marasuti says Qbert is the scratch goat. You just said Mixmaster Mike. Larry Deacon says, wait a minute, no Larry Levan on your list? There was a time when I thought Jam Master Jay was the best DJ in the world. There was a time when he might have been. Well, he was the biggest. Larry Levan is not on my list. I've never, because he was the huge, probably the biggest club DJ ever in New York City. I believe it was the Paradise Garage was his place. And he also used to do a lot of remixes, and used to take songs and do a special Larry Levan mix just for his club that became a staple. Never met him. I was a little too young to go to those clubs when he was rocking. But you look at Jam Master Jay, because you look at DJing, Flash was the first big DJ, household name, but nobody knew what Flash looked like. Um, Blondie said, Flash is fast, Flash is cool, fast fly to fly, fast shade to do whatever. But then they had some other DJ in there. I believe that was the artist, right? Was that the artist? Forgot his name. Was that what was the artist? Is that Basquiat? I forgot what his name was, but they had a DJ, but that wasn't Flash. And then the Message, their big video, the Furious Five was in the video, but Flash was just chilling. He wasn't DJing. He was just chilling on the sidelines. So you didn't know what Flash looked like. Even Flash on the Wheels of Steel, all that. We never saw him. Rocket with DST, I can't remember if he was scratching in the video or not. And I can't remember what came first. Because when that Rock Box video hit, that's when everybody got a good look at Run DMC and a good look at Jam Master Jay. Now, I'm not sure if Rocket by Herbie Hancock, I know it was both of them came out in 84, but I can't remember if Rocket's video came out first and that maybe, and DST was in it. So maybe he might have been the first DJ everybody saw, maybe. And then you had, no, I'm lying because Planet Rock had DJs in it, but you didn't know who they were. Buffalo Girls may or may not have had the world famous Supreme Team. I'm trying to remember the videos, but I do believe Jam Master Jay is the first big DJ who you saw and you knew who he was and you knew his name. Spook Rebel says Jam Master Jay, I believe, was the one who brought street clothing to rap. Yes, well, it was Russell who said Jam Master Jay was wearing all the fresh gear, and Russell said, y'all gonna dress like that, like him. And that's what we're gonna show. So Russell Simmons really green lighted Jam Master Jay's image for the group, if I get the story right. Wow. Dan Marasudi said the worst DJ, sorry to say, is Kool Herc. Wow. I would never disrespect Kool Herc in any shape, form, or fashion. But I'll let that comment stand. Cutie Pie 509 KP in the chat. Peace. Patrick Rock, Kool Moe Dee, Turn It Up is ridiculous. I gotta remember that. Is that did that come out in like 85? Samuel Gervais says, who's your favorite mixtape DJ? Of course, the Kid Capri. But I didn't really listen to mixtapes like that. I used to make my own tapes. I really like DJ Juice a lot. Rest in peace to him. We used to get a lot of DJ Juice tapes because he used to give it to us free. And we used to rock out a lot to his tapes. But Kid Capri that's the guy. Let's see. Kenneth Smith says 3 days later, go see the doctor. I like Go See the Doctor, but I like Do You Know What Time It Is a little better for me. I'm trying to understand this question. It says Reggie Johnson says, sup KP, who determined who got a video back in the day? Or who got a video? The record company determined. If I believe that's your question, back in the day, a video was very expensive. So, and there weren't that many outlets. So, for a record company to decide to shoot a video for your record, it means your record had blown up to a point where it warranted a video to take it to the next level. Back in the day, our record companies would put things out in stages, and you had to pass each stage to get to a certain level, which I think was smart because first you thought it's just single. A lot of people had single deals and didn't even have an album deal, and they would put out a single. And if you don't bubble, if your single doesn't bubble, they wouldn't put an album out on you, or they'll keep putting out singles until one catches on, and then you graduate to an album. But even a song, it starts out getting marketed to local radio, local clubs, or whatever. And if it blows up there, then they try to take it nationwide. And then if it blows up on say an R&B record or a rap record, if it blows up on that level, then they try to take it to the mainstream radio. That's like another level up because you conquered this level. And if it passes mainstream, then it's like, well, damn, we need to take it to BET or MTV. Then you get a video. But then after a while, video just became a staple and anybody got a video. But if you look at the late 70s, early 80s, you had to be gigantic to get a video, man. Or a record company had to really believe in you because there's huge songs that never had a video. Damn, Sudi said every Kool Moe Dee album had a diss to Cool J. Uh, it's a great question. Crusher Blackwell, are there any chances of KRS-One regaining the rights to Criminal Minded from B-Boy Records? I would say slim. They are holding on to that with their dear life. They've made millions off of that. This is a tough one. Kenny, if you had to pick, what would you choose to spend all night, reggae, house, or disco? I've never been clear on exactly what house music is really. Whenever you say, what is house music? People say music that they played in the house. I don't understand. That's too vague for me. Um, I loved disco. It'll be either between reggae or disco, but I don't know what house exactly means. Is it club music or is it R&B from a certain era? Is it dance R&B? Like I'm not sure what house really means. I've never got a proper definition. I loved disco. I could play disco for a long time. Uh, Daryl Thomas says, put that Bob Diddy Bob bullshit on hold. I can't, but he murdered. Shout out to my man Busy B. That was crazy. Um, Joey Joe says, I saw a recent video of Busy B and he looked like Nile Rodgers of Chic. That's funny. Shout out to Nile Rodgers, a game-changing producer and songwriter. Let's see. Let me scroll down a little bit because once again, I'm falling behind messing with y'all. Jason Wall says Twitter is a must for breaking sports info. Yeah. Sometimes the actual players come with info or insights before the media. There's mainstream media. Twitter is definitely ahead of the mainstream media, but then you got to deal with just horrific other people on there. Kenny, you heard of Perry P? He says he battled LL in a day and beat him. No, I did not. Um, Let's see. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. I'm just gonna jump, jump, jump a little higher. Jump, jump. Ah, the Caitlin Clark fans are returning the energy given by Angel Reese's mediocre game, praising fans. Someone it crosses the line. Sometimes it crosses the line. Um, it started as that. Shout out to Angel Reese, who really became famous for dissing Caitlin Clark. Basically, she was a great college player, but her claim to fame was dissing Caitlin Clark. I don't think Angel Reese's game is mediocre. I think her offensive game, her finishing around the basket and her shooting, her offensive game needs work. Her offensive game is very raw. But what she does well, I think might be already be the best ever rebounder in the history of women's basketball already. She's like Dennis Rodman. And I think her offensive game is more than Dennis Rodman. So she offensively, she's better than Dennis Rodman. But as a rebounder, she is, I think, already the greatest of all time. And this is just in the middle of her second season. So I wouldn't call her mediocre when you are the best rebounder ever. And the numbers point that out. And then people like, oh, she's just rebounding her own missed shots. That's just haters. Because if you took away her rebounding her own missed shots, she still lead the league in rebounds. But it started as Caitlin Clark fans giving it back to Angel Reese. It didn't just morph to anybody who even looks at Caitlin Clark the wrong way gets a wave of negative racist remarks, even at her own teammates. If Caitlin Clark throws you a pass and you miss a layup, oh Lord, you're gonna hear about it. Joey Joe says the only thing the trolls can troll Kenny on is not liking the Get Nervous song by BDP. Yes, you control me on that. Nervous. I do not like that song, Nervous, on the By All Means Necessary album. Oh yeah, we were talking about this on Tuesday. Spook Row says, DJ KP, bring it back. One artist that we secretly love, but everyone else dissed. I can name a few. Because there's some artists that were funny to me. Like, I didn't particularly think they were good, but I thought they were funny. Like, you remember Rico Suave? What was his real right name? Gerardo? I thought Rico Suave video was hilarious. He was so over the top extra that every time that video would come on, I would stop and watch it and just laugh because I really liked his swag. Like he went out of his way. He was so corny that he was funny to me. I'm gonna go with Rico Suave. Even the song Rico Suave. It still makes me laugh right now. That's my pick. I would love to see what you guys think. That's a great. I forgot about that. Patrick Wise says Jeff is the most versatile DJ. He can do battle style club sets. Yep. He has great scratches on records. That's why I say he is the every DJ. He's everything. Um, Jazzy Jeff deserves his flowers. Absolutely. That's why I say I cannot have a list without Jazzy Jeff. Crusher Blackwell said, despite the feelings on the Grammys, would you, KRS, and D Nice accept a Lifetime Achievement Award representation? Um, I don't know about the Grammys. Maybe if I'd have to talk to Chris about it. I definitely believe in the hip hop category, he deserves a lifetime achievement award that he will not get while he's alive. But something like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if Chris don't go, I'm going. I'm gonna go get it in his behalf. And you guys know I'm very critical of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because I don't understand the criteria. It's like they move the goalposts around. But I believe in hip hop, in the category of rap, that KRS-One, among a couple other people, should have a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for his category. And so I would accept that. I believe for the Grammys too. Um, to answer your question, I would have to talk to Chris about it. Chris would probably say, I'm not going, but you and Derek could go. You and Derek go. That's what he would say. I'm not going, but you and Derek, you go. And I'd probably have his award in my crib. That's probably what he would say. Um, James Brown says Jazzy Jeff was a pioneer of the Transformer scratch. Yes. I believe Marley Marl said he invented the Transformer scratch or something like that. I believe Marley Marl said that, so we got to see. But Jeff was a pioneer as well. Um, let's see, let's see, let's see. Um, Live with Deacon Shay says Fat Boys don't get enough love, man. They really don't. Can you feel it knocked on Flatbush Avenue? Big up Flatbush, man. That's my avenue, man. Patrick Wise says, Can you feel it was the ish? Kool Rock Ski was an underrated rapper. Absolutely, he was. And my favorite, along with KRS, our favorite Fat Boy song is Stick 'em. That record was hard. City Rose says, I am the human beatbox. Can you feel it? That record was dope, man. And Fat Boys had real hooks in their songs and singing. Fat Boys. They had women singing. They had hooks on everything. In jail without no bail. Fat Boys was dope, man. James Brown said, first album I bought was Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill. Cutie Pie says Purple Rain was the first I bought. Michael Mortis says the Fat Boys Are Back was my first tape bought with hard-earned lawn mowing money. Is that the album with Can You Feel It? Because that would be mine as first. My first. MK Ultra says King of Rock. Uh, let's see. Mara Sudi says the first scratch was Buffalo Girls. What was that? 83? 82, 83? First scratch on record. I believe so. Shout out to the world famous Supreme Team show. Um, I would love to get C Divine on this channel. C Divine, please. Anybody that knows him. Um, but did we see them though? Were they in the video scratching? Patrick Wise says, growing up in the Bronx, we knew what Flash looked like. Yeah, in the Bronx. In the summer, he would come to the Valley Park, and I remember seeing him at Bronx High School of Science in '78 before records. Yeah, if you lived in the Bronx, you knew what Flash looked like. '78, I lived in Brooklyn. I didn't know what Flash looked like. Um, oh, true, true, true. Tybo 2020 says Grandmaster Flash was in Wild Style, and that was before Rocket, I believe. But how many people saw Wild Style? But you're right. I think Wild Style really became more popular on the VHS. Was Wild Style, that was in the movies, right? What year was that? 83, Wild Style? Scratch was scratching in the kitchen. Yeah, if you saw Wild Style, you know what Flash looked like. You are correct, Tybo 2020. And that was a little bit before JMJ. I would say that um Rock Box, the first rap video ever on MTV, took Run DMC and Rap Worldwide and took Jam Master Jay to the masses. I would say Wild Style was a niche, like I said, was a niche movie, which became bigger later on with the VHS. But you're right. Flash, we got to see Flash in Wild Style. You are correct about that. Um, let's see, let's see. Henry Cedillo says in 78, I was 5. I heard Sugar Hill Gang, that would be 79. When it would come on, my oldest siblings would laugh at me to recite the lyrics. In my hood where I grew up, if you didn't know the lyrics to Rapper's Delight, you were a sucker. You were a jive turkey. You had to know that record was 15 minutes long, and you had to know every word. At any point that record came on, you had to finish rapping it all the way down. And if you didn't, you were a sucker because that was you had to know the lyrics to Rapper's Delight. Um, Patrick Watts says, big up Fresh Kid Ice from Two Live Crew. I've never met the Two Live Crew. Um, let's see. Cutmaster DC, Brooklyn's in the house. Big up Cutmaster DC. Sydney Rose says Teddy Riley produced some of Kool Moe Dee's hits. I think he produced all of Kool Moe Dee's hits. D Nizzy says house music is another form of disco. That's getting close, but I need more of a definition. House music was huge in Chicago. It still has its lane here with the footwork. So do you mean club music? I'm not sure. What's the difference between club music and house music? MMA says house has a lot of flavors. Dan Marasudi says it's called warehouse music, house for short. Somebody give me some songs that would be considered house music songs or classics so I can see the difference. Um, I'm going to scroll down a little bit because I'm behind, but I want to see some of these comments. CMC's Technique in class. Thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really appreciate it. Once again, salute KP. Any ideas what happened to Raucous, Loud, and Relativity Records? Could the internet possibly had a role in these underground labels' demise? I'm not sure. Although Loud and Relativity had major label distribution. So I wouldn't necessarily consider them underground. Because Loud had Wu-Tang, Platinum. They had Mobb Deep. Mobb Deep's second album, or was it the third album, went platinum. Both of I know the first one went gold. I think the second one, the one that came out in '99, went platinum. Um, Pun was on Loud. He's double platinum. Wu-Tang was double platinum. So I'm saying Loud, I wouldn't put Loud in the underground category. Relativity, who was on Relativity? Easy? No, he was on Ruthless. Who was on Relativity other than Fat Joe? I know Fat Joe, the Beat Nuts. Relativity might have been an underground label, but they had major distribution. Raucus was truly an independent underground label. I have no idea what happened to Raucus, but they had a great run. And even Raucus had Most Def go gold on there. Even Raucus had a gold record. Um, Gregory Netta says, that's horrible, Kenny. Rico, a Mexican rapper. Kenny Rico, a Mexican rapper. I liked Rico Suave, was funny to me. Gregory Netta said, MC Brains, for me, Uchi Coochie, la la la. I hated that song. Shout out to MC Brains. He went gold too with that. Um, MK Ultra says KRS is honorably stubborn. You guys don't even know the half. I saw this. Dan Marasuti says Busta Rhymes got his star on the ground recently. I saw that Chuck D was there. I don't understand it. I'm extremely happy for my brother Busta Rhymes. That is my dude. Shout out to the whole leaders actually. C Boogie Brown, Dinko, Milo, all good brothers. But I thought the Walk of Fame was for actors. I know Buster was in a few movies, but I didn't see him as an actor. I don't understand why he got. I think Salt and Pepper has one too. I don't understand what the Hollywood Walk of Fame is for. I thought it was for actors in Hollywood. I didn't know like musicians would get one. I guess so, but that's odd to me. I'm extremely happy for him, but I just didn't understand it. JT says that MMA crossfire and Patrick Wild. Moses was from a time when rebounding was valued. Yes, but Moses also averaged like 29. Even Rodman had a whole career based on just that. Exactly. Dennis Rodman, whole career, he's a Hall of Famer, and rightfully so, averaging like 4 points a game, 8 points a game, and 20 rebounds. I think for his size, pound for pound, I think he's the best rebounder of all time, Dennis Rodman, for his size. Dude was like 6'7", 6'8", getting 20 rebounds a night. It was ridiculous. Um, and you couldn't keep him off the offensive boards. A Charles Oakley, great rebounders. I mean, Oakley could score, but that's basically, he was like a fifth option on the Knicks, but he would get you boards. Um, I really compare Angel Reese to Rodman, but she's a little bit more polished offensively than even Rodman is, but she has a lot of work to do on that end. But she is a double-double machine. But a lot of people hate her because of Caitlin Clark. David Olson, was you at the Apollo when Biz did his shows there? He had the crowd going crazy. Of course. Like I said, one of the greatest BDP shows I've ever been a part of, top 3 or 4, was when KRS and Biz at the Apollo went song for song. It was a KRS-One show, and we had just did the Apollo 6 months earlier. And we was like, damn, we are back here at the Apollo. It's sold out. We need to do something different. And he was like, let's bring out a surprise guest. And it's like, who could we bring out that could go song for song with KRS-One? This was in 92. Biz. And we brought out Biz. That show was epic. Biz always says that's the greatest show he ever did. It was imagine KRS and Biz song for song for song for song. Then they got together, Biz on the beatbox and KRS was doing Listen to My Nine and The P is Free was ridiculous. I seen Biz at the Apollo would come out with a Santa Claus suit. I seen him sing Just a Friend and kept rewinding it like 3 times. The crowd kept singing it. I was at Biz. I mean, Biz used to go to amateur night and just crash amateur night, and Biz would come out on stage and just do like a quick freestyle. Amateur night at the Apollo was a Wednesday night. Showtime at the Apollo. That's a different. That was like taping. But every Wednesday night was amateur night. That's what Apollo really became most famous for, the amateur night. A lot of people were discovered there. Me and Biz used to be riding around New York City just looking for things to get into. And we always like, let's go to Apollo. We'll just run up in the Apollo. So yes, to answer your question, I've been with Biz the Apollo many times. Sydney Rose says rock and roll picking is kind of goofy. It's very goofy. Nevin Cola, I don't recognize this name. Are you new to the channel? What's up? Hey KP, what do you think of Hey DJ by world famous Supreme Team? Absolutely love that song. I was just listening to that song the other day. Hey DJ. He said, 2 turntables and a microphone. Always makes me laugh. 2 turntables and a microphone. What's a microphone? Shout out to C Divine. Please come on the channel. I'm begging. I'm a huge fan of the world famous Supreme Team. I was just playing Hobo Scratch yesterday in Brooklyn, like on the 45. Mixed Monster Menmo. Yo, Kenny, got any Howie T stories? I love him as a DJ too. I talked about Howie T in my stories. If you go back, today is Friday. I think we talked about Hitman Howie T on Tuesday. I go in depth with, go back one live ago. I talk about Howie T extensively. Yeah, last Tuesday. Let's see. Well, what is this? Spinbad invented the Transformer scratch. Cash Money perfected it. Jeff put it on record. Okay. I gotta do it, y'all. Here it comes. You ready? Let me get some water first. Anyway, what's up? KRS needs his flowers, period. He should have a street and a subway stop named after him. Absolutely, I agree. In time, like I said, you get a lot of accolades, sadly, when you pass. And it's so unfortunate that people don't get to see the love from of their peers while they're alive. They have to, after they pass, everyone's like, well, this is it. Let's give them their flowers. It's so whack. I don't know. Plus, a lot of what KRS was talking about rubbed people the wrong way, too. It's a lot of things. Markeith Bankroll says, Das Effects Flip Fat Boys, Can You Feel It? I never heard that. Red says, Fat Boys Movie Disorderlies. I saw that in the movies. Beyond the Matrix says, KP, back in 87, I had a girlfriend in Flatbush, but it didn't last long since I lived on Dykeman Street in Inwood, and that train ride was way too long. Dykeman, up, you mean in Washington Heights? You travel from Washington Heights all the way to Flatbush? That's like 2 hours on a train. Dre Stack Dollars says, KP, did y'all have paper routes as shorties? Please, I beg of you, Get the book. The link is in the description below. I go into great detail about that stuff. Um, let's see. Um, Daryl Talent says, does Stickum count as an acapella single? Does the scratches count as music? Yes. First of all, that beatbox count as drums, and there's scratches in it. I do believe that was Buffy on the scratch, right? That is music, absolutely. Yep. Black Pudding TV, what's up? Says Pet Shop Boys, first white rap group listen to West End Girls. I guess you could say they were rap. First of all, I love the West End Girls, by the way. Um, I guess you could say they were rapping. Since first white rap group, listen to West End Girls. The West End Girls came out in like what, 86? In the West End town, what, 85? So they came out before the Beastie Boys. Well, Blondie would be the first, and you got to say Deborah Harry. Blondie, she was killing it. You got to say Blondie. West End Girls came out way after that. What year was West End Girls? Like 85, 86, something like that. 86. Love that record though. David also said that Curtis Blow discovered the Fat Boys. I think he produced them. I don't know if he discovered them. Donald McCall says, shout out to Jimmy Spicer, dollar dollar bill, y'all. As y'all know, my background is different. Um, Normally I have the other background and I have the pictures up. I have a picture of me and Jimmy Spicer up because Super Rhymes changed my life and my brother's life. Um, Patrick Wild says, I saw Wild Style on the Deuce in 83. Woo! The Deuce was Wild Style. um, so it was in the movies on the Deuce, and the Deuce would have had all the biggest movies in 83. So it was in the movies in 83. And that was a year before we saw Jam Master Jay. So maybe Flash is the first DJ everyone got to really see. But everyone didn't see Wild Style though. You're right, technically. You are correct. But like I said, I think Wild Style is bigger later. Lyra Deacon says Wild Style played on 42nd Street when it came out. Mom's was not letting me roll down there with my older brothers. Good decision, Mom. Marquise said Fat Five Freddy brought Blondie to the hood. It was over. Yeah, I think he took her to the Disco Fever too. And she heard rap and she was like, okay. They tell a story. I think Fat Five Freddy tells a story about how he brought Blondie to the club, and because they was uh even though they had exploded by this point by 1980, 81, they got their start in CBGB's, the famous club. BDP performed there. Um, and so I guess Fat Five Freddy knew her from the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Whatever they met, he took her up to the Bronx, to the hood, to the Fever. And they said when she walked in the Fever, she was the only white lady in the whole place. And somebody said, yo, is that Patty Duke? Because there was the dance out called the Patty Duke. I don't know how that dance got the name, but there was a moment where the Patty Duke was the big dance in New York City. So when Blondie, Deborah Harry walked into the club, they was going, there go Patty Duke. Yo, that must have been hilarious. Blondie left. Deborah Harry. I keep saying Blondie. That's the name of the group. Deborah Harry left out of there, got her pen, and was like, "I'm about to spit." Um, let's see. Tybo 2020 says his first album was probably Radio by LL. Jason Wall says, "Would you consider what Blondie was doing on Rapture rapping?" I do. I do. I heard an argument it's not because she wasn't using a cadence, just throwing her words together. Nah. She was singing first. Then she said, "Fat Five Freddy, tell me everybody's fly." DJ said, "Nah, she was killing it, and she was throwing out real rap names." She said, "Fab Five Freddy told me that everybody's fly." DJs, she talked about DJs. She said Flash is fast. She said talk DJs. She had graffiti writing in the background. That video was hip hop. I think she had a popper too. I absolutely think Blondie was rapping on that song. She wasn't using a cadence. She was rum like this. Nah, she was rapping on that. Sydney Rose says Grandmaster Cav's lyrics on rappers alike. I think one of the biggest, if not the biggest, crime in the history of music. Um, Larry Deacon says they edited the newer version of Wild Style. Grandmaster Flash's scene has new background song because they didn't want to clear the sample, so they put their own music there so they wouldn't have to pay for it. Terrible, terrible. Spook Realm says Break for Love. Funny, I played Break for Love yesterday in Brooklyn. That's a house record. Marshall Jeffrin, Move Your Body. I played that too yesterday. That's house. I thought that was a club record. Kennard says Follow Me was house music. So now I'm getting confused with house music and club music. Hold on a second. Let me make this small for a second. Hold on. Okay, because I wanted to get this in. Terrell McMillan, once again, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Says Two Cats redid Can You Feel It? Drew Down on the West Coast and RIP Granddaddy IU. He straight killed it. Shout out to my man Granddaddy IU, man. That was the homie. Biz, he was signed to Biz's label, so of course I got to hear his album months before it came out, and Biz introduced me to him. He produced a song called Hot for KRS-One on a Sneak Attack. Shout out Granddaddy IU. Can you feel it? What a great record, man. I miss hip hop so much. I miss the excitement. Anyway, um, David Alston says CC Pennison's Finally is a house track. To me, that's like a dance record. MMA says Bill Shapiro, that Robin S song was more dance record. See, Robin S to me is dance. House music by Soho. Shout out to Pal Joey, BDP producer, aka Soho. Um, so I get where you guys are coming from. I see what I think is club music, you guys are saying is house music. So what's like Let No Man Put Us Under, those kind of records. First Choice, um, caught up in a one night love affair. What is that? Let's see. Floetry One says Godzilla killed Ruckus with a lawsuit. I remember, it's funny. I ran into Pharoah Monch one day in the streets in New York, and he was telling me how he sampled Godzilla for that big, gigantic song, maybe the biggest single song on Ruckus. Dun, 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 get the Simon Says, and he said they came back and sued. Somebody from Japan still had the rights to Godzilla, came back and sued for the use of Godzilla sample that they didn't clear. And he said they sued for so much that not only did he not get any money for that album with um, Simon Says, but the next album that he had to do for Ruckus that didn't even come out yet, he wasn't going to get paid for that either. So imagine he didn't get no money for Simon Says or that album, and you're in the studio knowing that when you drop your next album, you will get nothing because it all had to go to the Godzilla. Now, I didn't know that it broke the label, but I could see it. Kevin Monroe said Dougie Fresh is on Reality. Now that's different from Relativity. Yeah, Dougie was on Reality. Anyway, he says house versus club music is the beat behind it and fancy footwork. Jersey stand up. Yeah, I know there's Jersey Club. Um, Kendall Smith says, you ever heard Jack Your Body back in like 86? Yeah, Steve Silk Hurley. That was house music. I thought that was club music. Okay, I'm starting to see now. And you know what's funny? These people are calling these records house, and I'm still fighting it. Come Into My House by Queen Latifah. Yeah. Shout out to the Queen. That's my girl. I haven't seen her in decades. Would love to get her on the show. Uh, let's see. Here we go. AI definition. House music is a specific genre of electronic dance music, while club music is a broader term encompassing various game genres played in the clubs. See, you can't say a genre played in the club. BDP is played in the club. Are we club music? You know what I mean? Like R&B records, you could have picked Mary J. Blige or are we even talking the 80s? It's a Keith Sweat. Is that club? Like that to me, records played in the club is club music. That's so vague to me. House music is a specific genre of electronic dance music. That I can hear. That makes sense to me. Um, it's 10:14. 9:14. For those that's just checking in, this is the Kenny Parker Show. If you're new to the show, we do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the Rewind crew. And I'm going to do the Benny Doyle scroll down. And I'm going to jump all the way down. I really hate doing this, man. Rico Smith says percolator is house. It's time for the percolator. Everybody by Black Box is a classic house music track. I thought that was dance music. Um, CMC says Common was on Relativity. Yes, he was. Corey Flood, what up? Says Pharoah Monch also got sued by Maxwell for that album. He used his song Queens. Damn, they just didn't clear nothing. They should have known better, man. Jungle Brothers, I'll house you. You know, it's funny. These people are telling me in the title it's house, and I'm still saying, what is house? Oh, man. That is so funny. See, now I don't know about this. Technicians pump up the jam as house. I thought that's dance music. VHS Hip Hop says, not an expert, but I always heard it classified Baltimore house, Chicago house. Yeah, like different regions have their own sound of house. Um, let's see, let's see. Spookwell says, fun fact. For a minute, I believe Jungle Brothers created house music. Yeah, I mean, that song was big. Um, Shout out to Todd Terry for producing that. Um, I feel like that song was the gift and the curse for Jungle Brothers. If you really think about it, if you listen to that incredible album, Straight Out the Jungle, when you talk about native tongues, that album doesn't get mentioned enough of how incredible Straight Out the Jungle was. If you go back and listen to that album, Girl, I'll House You was about as odd on that album as Nervous was on that BDP album. It didn't belong on that album at all, really. It was like the Jungle Brothers had one whole sound, and then there was this thing, I'll House You, that was just like on the album. And it ended up becoming a huge hit. Um, and then after that, it seemed like after that, they were on Warlock Records, which was an independent. I believe this is how the story, how I heard it. Warner Brothers bought the Jungle Brothers from Warlock, paid something like $800,000 to take the Jungle Brothers from Warlock to Warner Brothers. This is in '89. So 800,000 in '89 is probably like 1 point something million, like 1.5 right now. But now Warner Brothers wanted another I'll House You. And so if you listen to the second album, it seems like they were trying to make another I'll House You, when really the record that in the club, I remember being in a club called Quando's. Car Wash was the name of it. The club was called Quando's. The night was called Car Wash, and that's where we did the BDP live album. For a minute, that was the hottest spot in New York City. Everybody was in there. And I remember being in that club. I was standing next to Chris Lighty, rest in peace, Chris Lighty, Jungle Brothers manager. And I remember the JB's song came on. The JB's, the JB's, the JB's, and ripped this place to the ground. It was about 1,000 people. It held about 800 to 1,000, and it was wall to wall. And it was Jungle Brothers, Jungle Brothers, Jungle Brothers. And the whole place was the JB's. And I was like, yo, this has got to be y'all next single. The single. And Chris Lighty said, no, the record company wants a house record. And we was they was even saying that they would make their own video for the JBs. And they was like, if you do it, we're not even gonna put it out. We're not gonna send it to outlets. We want a house record. So the whole club was crying for the JBs is coming through, but the record company wanted a house record. And so they made other house records that were cool, but I don't think they ever recaptured the magic of Girl I'll House You. And I think the JB's Coming Through was more like the Jungle Brothers, Buddy, and all that stuff. There was more that I think that was more like the Jungle Brothers than I'll House You. But because I'll House You is so big, they chased that down the road, and I think it hurt their career. Just my opinion. What do I know? But I know Chris Lighty told me that. We were standing next to each other when that record came on. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, John Dickinson, Bone Thugs was on Relativity Records. Shoot, they was like triple platinum. So can we even consider Relativity underground? Nah, not once Bone Thugs blew. Nah, they might have been underground. Common, Fat Joe, Beating Us, but once Bone Thugs went triple, they weren't underground anymore. Thank you, Benny Doyle. Says Kenny, run this community forever. It's probably the best part of my week. I truly look forward to this. Thank you so much, Benny Doyle. I look forward to it as well. Thank you so much. Dean Izzy said Jungle Brothers created hip house music. Yeah, I would say yes to that. Remember that record Storm? Yeah, that's the idea. I used to see him in Jersey City when I was in college. KYs. I used to see KYs all the time in Jersey. Storm. Yeah, that's the idea. Excuse me. Um, Jungle Brothers don't get as much respect as they deserve. Yeah, it's just one of them groups that uh, get caught up in it. It was such a great era of groups that even a incredibly dope group could get lost in the shuffle of other groups. And the theme says, "Done by the Forces of Nature" was my shit. That was a dope album. But I just said, I just think that the singles they put out, doom 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 doom, get on the dance. So I forgot the name of the first single. I just think the singles that they put, I remember them being housey type records. I just think that um that wasn't the real Jungle Brothers sound. KP said Patrick Wise says KP, it's like when EU did doing the butt, which is watered down go go. People in the DMV didn't even respect that song. Live go go is an experience, nonstop movement. Yeah, I could see that. Like you're a go go group, and then all of a sudden or any type of group that you have a niche, and all of a sudden you catch one that just goes nuclear and rocks the world, and then you get all of this money and all of this fame, and it takes your career to another level. And it's almost like you can't go back now. All of the new people you met, and all of the new money, and all the new budgets and endorsements and everything is based on you making another one of these, not what you were doing before. And it's sad because what you were doing before is probably more closer to who you are and your real base. So you leave your base chasing the hit, you don't get another hit, so you lose that market, and then you try to go back to your base, but you lost them because you went this way, and then you just lose. It's like a catch 22 when you have a big hit outside of your natural genre. We used to do a lot of shows with the Junkyard Band. Remember the Junkyard Band? We did a few shows with the Junkyard Band. And there was another big go-go group we did a show with. I can't remember. It wasn't EU. Junkyard Band. There was another one. We would do shows in DC. It'd be KRS One and Go Go Group. Rap Salute says, "What You Waiting For?" That's the name of the song. It's a great song, though. I like that song as well, but it didn't do like Our House. He says, better than Our House, which was a novelty record. It might have been a novelty record, but the whole group went in that direction after that. I liked What You Waiting For. I just thought the JBs, I think if they had to put out the JBs, they would have done that album would have done better hip hop, core hip hop wise. I don't know if you could have put out What You Waiting for radio and put the JBs for something else, but the JBs, that song, I believe it was a B-side of something else because they did a remix for it and everything. But that song should have been, that was the one, man, on that album, in my opinion. Um, JT, the JB's coming through, absolutely smashed that Jimmy Cassis a bunch sample. Absolutely. And those slide drums, just a great song. MK Ultra says, I miss hip hop too, KP. Just the excitement, the newness, the styles. I hate sounding like that old guy, man. But I'm not excited for anything. And it's not just hip hop, it's just across the board. Everything to me is just regurgitation of something that was already dope. Hip hop was really exciting. Theo Sanders says, "Let No Man Put Us Under" is disco. Um, okay. Deacon Strange says, "Kenny, I'm really surprised, man. I figured you would be a house head for real. I was a hip hop head during those eras, but I heard house music from time to time. But I got more into house music later on than I did when it was actually out. Um, Back in 89, 90, 91, I was hip hopped out. Um, he says, check out some Olsen Lade or DJ Spinner. Shout out to Spinner. That's my brother. I think you'll get addicted real fast to house. Um, let's see. Didn't Twin Hype have a house joint before the Jungle Brothers? They might have. 88. They might have. CMCs, thank you once again. Says, Yo, KP, Redman misses the 90s so much that he's selling teas with the phrase 90s now. Yeah, the 90s were really good to Redman. Um, I would miss it too. What's one of your favorite Prince albums? Prince is my favorite artist ever, pound for pound, my pound for pound. Um, of course, Purple Rain, because I saw that in the movies and it blew me away. The visual with the music. I really like Sign of the Times. What album had a door on it? A door was ridiculous. 6 minute love song. I love Diamonds and Pearls too. I love Diamonds and Pearls. Diamonds and Pearls is one of my favorites too. Diamonds and Pearls, Purple Rain, and whatever album Adore was on. What's the double album? I think that's the album that had Adore on it, and had the the Ballad of Dorothy Parker as well. Um, all right, we're almost at the end, y'all. I'm gonna go a little bit longer once again. Ah, here we go. Rare Essence was the band maybe in DC. That's what it was. Rare Essence. We did mad shows with Rare Essence. I know we did a show with the Junkyard Band, Rare Essence. Yup. We did mad shows with them, which is just so random. KRS and Rare Essence. KRS and Junkyard. Theo says club music is not a genre. It's an umbrella term for music played in a club. House music is a genre. Okay. Spook Realm, confession. I couldn't stand Leaders of the New School when they dropped. What? PTA was killing in New York City. You didn't like Sob Story neither? I mean, everybody has their own right to like whatever they like. Um, Johnny Moulton says New York City needs a makeover. Who has the time? Actually, New York City has a makeover. That's the problem. New York City needs to wipe the makeup off and get the original face. New York City needs the real face. It has the makeup on now. That's the problem. D Nizzy said, Kenny, did you go to Club 1018 playing house music? No, I never went to any house music clubs. Patrick Wise says, KP, where are you ranking Black Thought? Top 10? Not for me, but he's a great MC. I wouldn't put him in my top 10, but he's great. Um, I would get more deeper into it, but the time is running out. But no, I wouldn't have him in my top 10. I think of the Roots live. He's probably in my top 5, maybe, or 10. Like live, he's incredible. But overall, and he's a great freestyler too. He's a great talent. But I wouldn't have him in my top 10. No. Confession: I hated Roots Rock Reggae by Run DMC. Most people did. Benny Doyle says PM Dawn diss track to KRS is called Plastic. I never heard that. I heard it for the first time last week. It was garbage. Nothing compared to Feel the Vibe. I never heard that. I never even knew he made a diss record. Wow. KB Play, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Says Criminal Minded samples Go-Go Band Trouble Funk, Let's Get Small. Absolutely. Wanch, 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 wanch. Absolutely. Um, yeah, Go-Go was in the BDP, and I'm pretty sure. Well, who made that was Scott LaRock. So who knows where he got that from? Spook Realm says International Lover from 1999. That was a dope album too. MK Ultra says Stevie Wonder the GOAT for me. He probably is the GOAT. But for me, Prince is my favorite. Prince is right there with Stevie, but Stevie is the GOAT. I mean, Mike is up there too. Michael Jackson, Prince, Stevie. That's about as good as it gets. Stevie is the GOAT. Kenny, according to KRS, what am I supposed to do when I find PM Dawn? I don't remember that rhyme. That's a good question. Um, yeah, Sign of the Times was the double CD. So I believe that's one of my favorites too. Casey Lingon says Ligon says Sign of the Times was the album that had a door on it, I believe. Yeah, so I think Sign of the Times is one of my favorites as well. Um, CMCs, thank you. Says, man, I love this channel. Salute to KP once again. Thank you so much, CMC. You know, I really appreciate your contributions as always. MK Ultra says, where's Scott LaRock on your greatest DJs? His era was too short, unfortunately. Unfortunately, you can't even. Benny Doyle says 5 p.m. during an XAS. I should know that from Feel the Vibe. I should know that. Good call. Yeah, Scott LaRock, unfortunately, his career was a less than a year. All right, I'm at the very bottom, I believe. D Nizzy says Pop Life was my joint. Pop Life was incredible. Prince played 27 instruments by the time he was 19 years old. And what's crazy about Prince is that um, not only is he one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived, but he also played the keyboards immaculately. And he also was a drummer. Like, it's not just that he played instruments, he played an array of instruments, 27. And he wrote all the lyrics and sung them. And he wrote and produced other groups. And he wrote all of the girl hits too. Dude wrote Nasty Girls for Vanity 6. He wrote Glamorous Life for Sheila E. Love Bazaar. Dude is crazy, man. Um, Brandon Doyle says, who is Kentavious Walker? I heard Scott LaRock shout that name in Dope Beat. He shouted out a bunch of names in Dope Beat that I have no idea who these people were. Rock the House. And Kentavious Walker rock the house. I have no idea who that was. I wasn't around at that point. I was around, but I wasn't in the studio. Philly Cheese says Diamonds and Pearls is definitely an album, fire album too. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Live Deacon says, what? 10 MCs better than Black Thought? I don't know about that, Kenny. That's my pick. I'm looking at his whole career in the history of rap. Yeah, I think I can name 10. And when you say by better, what do you mean by better? What does that mean, better? Because we talked about this, I believe on Tuesday. There's a few criteria that I rank MCs by. It's not just one thing. But I just for me, I think I've listened to a lot of Roots records, and I don't have him in my top 10. Not that he's not great, just my top 10 is different. Yes. Love the show and chat, KP. When is the next guest? I'm waiting for a confirmation right now. Um, let's see. It's 9:40. We're in overtime. We need a name for the OT. We're in OT right now. Kevin Smith says, yeah, we're not talking sales here, KP. I agree, but sales is a factor. It's not just one thing. Sales is a factor. It's not the only factor. It's probably like 5 or 6 factors. But sales is a factor. You have to factor in record sales compared to your other peers. It's a factor. If you just talking about MCs, if you just take away all record sales, I could name you some MCs that's incredible. Like Pharoah Monch, to me, is one of the greatest lyricists ever. He's only had one national song. I mean, Organized Confusion. I don't even think Organized Confusion. I mean, Fudge Pudge was cool. I don't think it was a big record, but it was a nice record. I don't think Pharoah Monch ever had one big national record like Simon Says. And I think he's one of the most talented MCs ever. As is Mighty Most Def, Common. These dudes are absolute lyrical monsters to me. And Black Thought. But there's other factors that would have them as the 10 greatest to ever hold a microphone in their hand in the past 52 years. We're going from the time rap started on a record to now. No, let's go all the way back 52 years. Let's take it to the beginning. The greatest MCs to ever have a microphone in their hand. There's a lot to consider there. Not just let's eliminate this or eliminate that. You could eliminate a bunch of things. You talking about seeing an MC live. If you eliminate people's live shows, seeing them in person, I can name you some MCs that are incredible. But I'm telling you now, you should never go see them live. It'll break your heart. But if we just subtract that from the equation, yeah. No disrespect to Black Thought. Like I said, I think he's incredible. Flochi says Black Thought is Rakim. If he just got better and better with styles, breath control, content, and more. That's a lot. See, I can't put Black Thought in the same breath with Rakim. I can't do it. What Rakim meant to this game, and y'all always get mad at me when I say the word game changer, but what Rakim meant to this game and what he did, you can't just throw people's name in next to his name. To me, we scroll down to the bottom, then I'm gonna get off, y'all. I'm gonna get off. I keep saying it. Oh wow, J. Rooted Damage is better than Black Thought. You could argue that. See, to me, I don't believe in the word better. I just believe in opinions, your opinion. But let's see. Engage VR says G-Rap Black Thought. What does that mean? G-Rap is like Black Thought, or those are your top 2 favorites? Floshi One says, I know, I give you that. I meant flowing next to each other. Rakim is the god. Yes. Oh, I see what you mean. Rakim, but there's a few people, not a lot, but there's a few people that's names should be separate for every other name. A small handful. Their names should not be associated with other names. And that's why I say when you talk about the top 10, these names, they did it for 10 plus years of just unbelievable songs that just changed the way we see the game and styles in a time where it was the hardest to do it. So you also got to look at the time when people were dope. Joey Joe says the problem with Black Thought is he can't make hit songs like Rakim has. Now, I wouldn't call it a problem. Maybe that's not his style, but and I don't know if he can or can't. I mean, we've seen the Roots been out for 30 years, so at this point, we kind of they could always come with a hit record. But let's just go by what we've seen so far. Yeah, I mean, to have household records, the Roots have a few handful of records that were big national songs, but the Guard is a whole different category to me. MK Ultra, Rakim, and KRS the GOATs. Rosmel says, I seen a DJ throwing Simon Says and the club just went crazy. I seen Pharoah Monch do Simon Says live and when it was out. And man, listen. Sydney Rose, Razkaz, another ridiculously talented rapper. If we're just talking about pen and delivery, Razkaz, I saw Razkaz did something with DJ Premier, like that the DJ Premier's in studio series, whatever. I forgot what he called it. Razkaz was killing it. Joey Joe says Black Thought is technically flawless on paper. When it comes time to make a song that will get played on the radio in a club, he can. Or let's say he hasn't. He's technically flawless live. Live, he is technically flawless. Black Thought is great. I don't know. Y'all gonna be because y'all gonna say I'm dissing Black Thought, but I am absolutely not. Beyond the Matrix says my all-time top 5 is KRS, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Coogee Rap, Slick Rick. That's a great 5. Couple of them are in my 5, in my 10. A couple aren't, but yeah. And when you start talking about names like that, you talking names like that. Gregory Ness, AZ is dope. Also, Kenny, yes, he is. Neville Pitts says, better is never a word to be used in the art of hip hop or in art, period. Because if so, nobody is better than the improvised group of teenagers and young adults who tenacity and willingness to not to give up and just be. I just think that art is so objective that there's no way to measure. There's no championship where there's a winner and a loser. It's just objective. So you try to measure on different things, and they're still all opinions. The only thing that you can really measure is record sales, and even that has factors in it. So it's almost impossible to measure a rapper, but you try to get a criteria and hold everybody to the same criteria and try to get a feel for who's who. That's how I do it. All right, y'all. I was getting off. We in OT. We need a name for OT. I'm gonna scroll to the bottom. I'm at the very bottom. Engage VR, Black Thought, Never Do What They Do. Dope record. They had a few. Gregory Nettis obviously loves Nas. He always says Nas is the GOAT. Nas is 3, 4, and 5, 2, 1. Yeah. That's his GOAT. Um, Nas is way up there for me as well. Um, he has a lot. He checks off a lot of boxes. He checks off a lot of boxes. Um, let's see. Spook Realm says, "We stop doing these lives, DJ KP. My days would get boring again." I have no intentions of stopping, God willing. Um, Divine Existence. Don't forget to call Moe Dee after you log off. Yes, it's late now. I might just text him, but yeah. Um, all right. We're jumping off. This is the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to drop a beat on Sunday. Hope to get confirmation for the guest tomorrow or tonight. God willing, I will see you guys on Tuesday. Big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. And that's it. I'm going to jump over and make this smaller, like so I can hit the end stream button, which is right now. Boom.